Mischa Barton used to be everywhere.
Welcome to the OC.
But it all suddenly ended. Anyone who's seen the OC knows how dramatic Barton's exit from the show was.
Maurice. Maurice.
Pretty much everyone who worked on the show agrees that they didn't really know what to do with Barton's character by that point. According to Barton, it was sort of headed in the direction that it was becoming inevitable, I guess. The character was just doing too much, and I think they ran out of places for her to go. There was also pressure from both Fox and the show's fans, many of whom had grown to hate the character, to make a significant change. Executive producer Stephanie Savage said, "The network was saying, what you're doing isn't really working, and you guys need to do something big or this is the end." Barton, too, was hoping to move on to other things. She told E! News that she was getting offers for leading roles, but she had to turn them down because of the OC's packed schedule. Unfortunately, those leading roles didn't really end up happening once she left the series. The OC was a hit, but things behind the scenes were playing out just as dramatically as any of the show's storylines. Barton in particular had a difficult time, for a number of reasons. In 2021, she told E! News that when Rachel Bilson became a series regular in Season 2, the rest of the cast pay was adjusted to even things out. But it wasn't just the salary cut that was an issue. The shooting schedule was brutal for everyone, and for Barton especially. There were 27 episodes in Season 1 alone, which meant long hours on top of outside engagements. In an interview for 2023's Welcome to the OC, The Oral History, Barton said, "There were years when I only had 6 days off in the whole year. It was tiring. It was a lot. And when you weren't filming, you were promoting the show and doing press and touring. It was exhausting." Her age, too, separated her from the others in a noticeable way. Executive producer Bob DeLaurentis admitted, "If I went back to when we were casting the OC, I would look to find an older actress because the other three had an ease and a facility with each other, and I don't think they ever had that with her. And it was hurtful. I think she felt it." In 2003, 17-year-old Barton beat out Olivia Wilde to play Marissa Cooper, the female lead on Fox's The OC. Series creator Josh Schwartz told the Daily Beast in 2013 that they had chosen Barton because Wilde had, quote, "such a strong persona that she didn't need rescuing." But the flip side to adding a 17-year-old to a cast of mostly 20-somethings was that Barton was in a completely different stage of her life and felt she couldn't fully relate to her co-stars. She wrote for Harper's Bazaar, "Even being a virgin at the time in that context made me feel like a fraud. I had cultivated the persona of a New York-based, young and streetwise woman who was well beyond her years. I started to really worry that I couldn't play this character if I didn't hurry up and mature a little." So she did, with 25-year-old series lead Ben McKenzie.
How did you feel about that, romantic on-screen relationship?
Yeah, it wasn't just on screen either.
The OC was a near-instant success, proving that Fox's entry into the teen drama sphere wasn't just another Beverly Hills 90210. Soon, Barton and the rest of the cast were everywhere. Red carpets, teen award shows, magazine covers. The fame was inescapable, and, at least for Barton, a little overwhelming.
I would say our next guest is TV's newest sex symbol, but using that kind of language about someone her age is actually illegal in the state of New York.
At the time of Barton's big Hollywood break, the culture surrounding celebrity and the way they were portrayed in the media was shifting, and no one represented this better than Perez Hilton, a blogger whose snarky captions and white marker doodles over paparazzi photos made him a hit with readers, and an annoyance to countless celebrities. The inescapable presence of the paparazzi during the aughts, combined with Perez's brutal commentary, made it nearly impossible for anyone with some measure of fame to have a normal life, and Barton, who was thrust into the spotlight before even hitting adulthood, became a major target, especially when it came to her weight.
I couldn't do anything or get away with anything or go even leave the house or do anything without having to really think it through.
She was also young and wanted to experience life. She told People magazine in 2017 that she was living a jet-set lifestyle, but was surrounded by people who didn't have her best interests at heart and instead enabled her party behavior. She said, "It was a train I could not get off of." Barton has been open about the toll it all took on her mental health. In her piece for Harper's Bazaar, she detailed the lengths paparazzi would go to get footage of her, saying they'd go so far as to give unhoused people cell phones in order to be tipped off to her whereabouts, or climb the walls of her house to shoot through her windows. She wrote, "It became too much to read about myself every day, and to have these publications laugh at my pain." 2007 was the year things really started to fall apart for Barton. It began in May, with one of the most infamous Hollywood parties of the era, Nicole Richie's Memorial Day barbecue. Just before the event, Richie's invite got leaked to the press, which declared, "Let's stand together as one, live the American dream, take shots, pass out, and wake up with our pants ripped open at the seams. There will be a scale at the front door. No girls over 100 pounds allowed in. Start starving yourself now." Richie later told Ryan Seacrest that the invite was meant to be a joke among friends, but it was anything but a joke for Barton, who had to be removed from the party and taken to the hospital after what her publicist said was the result of mixing alcohol with prescription antibiotics. She was released after 2 hours. Then, in December, Barton was arrested in West Hollywood and charged with a DUI and marijuana possession. She was put on 36 months of probation and made to take an alcohol education course. In a subsequent interview with Nylon, Barton called her arrest a low point and said, "I was disappointed because it associated me with a group of girls that I would rather not be associated with."
Who was putting your interest above the project or their
Nobody really, to be
financial
honest.
interest?
For the early part of her career, Barton's mother, Nuala Quinn Barton, also acted as her manager, but their relationship was complicated. While Mischa has said that Nuala was trying to protect her child in a wild industry, those who worked with the young star have had differing opinions. In 2013, one of Mischa's former associates told People, "Mischa was the bread and butter for her entire family, but her mom was running the show." Nuala was often branded as a sort of stage mom. In Welcome to the OC, The Oral History, Rachel Bilson remembered her as nice, but also as having a quote, "make sure that Summer doesn't have more things to do or say than Marissa" vibe. Even Mischa admitted that she was told she'd lose out on work as long as her mother was in the picture. Since she was the primary means of financial support for her family, Mischa unfortunately had to work nonstop, but she was quickly reaching a breaking point. In 2017, she opened up to Dr. Phil about the amount of stress she was under heading into 2009. According to Mischa, in order to keep her working and deal with the stress of the limelight, her team had her medicated.
They were just prescribing things they probably had no right to be prescribing, and then not watching me while they did it.
In March 2009, Barton landed a leading role in the CW's The Beautiful Life, a teen drama about a group of models who lived together in New York City. Ashton Kutcher was executive producer. Barton told Dr. Phil that the pressure she was under was becoming overwhelming, and both her family and representation had doubts about her ability to do the show.
I hated that. I hated not being capable for my job, and I hated people telling me that I couldn't do it as well.
Things spiraled, and Barton was eventually put under an involuntary psychiatric hold. People magazine reported that it happened as a result of her blacking out from Xanax and threatening to take her own life. Barton clarified that she was never suicidal, but did call the experience terrifying. In 2021, she gave an interview to The Guardian in which she spoke about her breakdown, saying, "Things snowballed and really took on a life of their own. And then, next thing you know, you've hit a wall. Things can happen terribly fast, overnight, if you're under that much stress." As for The Beautiful Life, the CW canceled the series after only 2 episodes. Back in 2005, while Barton was at the height of her fame, she purchased a 7,600 square foot, 8-bedroom, 11-bath villa in Beverly Hills for $6.4 million. But by 2010, it seemed as though she couldn't afford it anymore. She put the home up for sale for $8.695 million and then relisted it a year later. At one point, she tried renting it out for $35,000 a month, but was unsuccessful there too. In 2014, TMZ got a hold of a default notice on the property, which showed Barton was $100,000 behind on payments and the house was heading into foreclosure. A year later, Barton's money troubles reached a boiling point. She sued her mother Nuala for exploitation, calling her a greedy stage mother. The lawsuit claimed that, on top of taking more than 10% commission as her manager, Nuala lied about the amount Mischa was paid for the film The Hoarder, pocketing the difference herself. Nuala was also accused of using Mischa's name for endorsements while keeping profits from her. And that Beverly Hills mansion, Mischa claimed Nuala forced her into the purchase, then kicked her out of the home.
We brought this action on behalf of our client so that Mischa can get closure, can move on with her career, and can get to the bottom of what's happened to all the money that she's made.
The lawsuit was dismissed in 2016, but that wasn't the end of Barton's financial issues. That same year, she was ordered to pay $200,000 plus interest to the writer of the film promoted, in which she had been cast as the lead. TMZ reported that producers first filed the lawsuit in 2014, when, a day before filming was scheduled to begin, they received an email from Barton's mother saying she would be unavailable for over 2 weeks. When producers checked Barton's social media, they saw she was vacationing in Europe. They were forced to recast and wound up going after her for the $20,000 advance they gave her, $200,000 in marketing expenses, and $100,000 related to losing their attached star. In March 2016, Barton attempted another comeback of sorts by appearing on Dancing with the Stars, but that too didn't go as well as she'd hoped. She was the second to be sent home. She later told The Ringer that the experience was nothing like she'd expected it to be, saying, "I had no idea it would be so bad. It wasn't collaborative like a choreographer on a film set. It was like the Hunger Games. It was all a popularity contest. It was awful. I was so glad to get kicked off." Then, in January 2017, Barton was once again back in the headlines for an unfortunate reason. She had just celebrated her 31st birthday when she was filmed in her backyard yelling incoherently about her mother. Neighbors called the police to report her behavior, and authorities brought her to the hospital for treatment. The footage of Barton's breakdown, meanwhile, was sold to TMZ. Once she was released, Barton spoke with people and said that she had been drugged the night before while out with friends. She explained, "While having drinks, I realized that something was not right, as my behavior was becoming erratic and continued to intensify over the next several hours."
And then the whole part, like outside, is just blackout.
Barton went on to say that while she was at the hospital, she was informed by staff that she had been drugged with GHB. During her conversation with Dr. Phil later that year, she explained that at the time the video was taken of her, she was experiencing both auditory and visual hallucinations. Only months later, Barton and her lawyer, Lisa Bloom, held a press conference after getting a court order to stop the sale of an explicit tape, which was made without Barton's knowledge or permission.
This is a painful situation, and my absolute worst fear was realized.
Barton explained that an ex, with whom she'd had a brief relationship, had set up hidden cameras to capture intimate moments between the pair and was in the process of shopping the footage around to adult entertainment companies. Worse still, she thought a second ex could be involved in the scheme. She claimed in a restraining order filing that said ex not only knew the man who'd taken the images, but had made copies of the material for distribution. In June 2017, Barton reached a settlement with John Zacharias, the man who'd actually taken the video. He agreed to turn over all the images to Barton and keep 100 yards distance from her for the foreseeable future. In 2023, Barton opened up to the Times about her legal battle and called it one of the worst and most grueling experiences of her life. She reflected, "It's shocking to realize that there is that type of darkness in the world, and you wonder what you've done to attract it." One of the biggest accomplishments of the OC was that it inspired the rich LA teen reality show trend of the late aughts. We would never have had Laguna Beach or The Hills had we not had the OC first. In 2019, Barton brought things full circle when she joined the cast of The Hills' New Beginnings.
This was like a family that was easy to join because I've known them on and off for years.
Barton only stuck around for the first season, but she did have the opportunity to finally confront her former bully, Perez Hilton, who's now godfather to Spencer Pratt and Heidi Montag's child. On the show, Barton called Perez a scumbag and said he had significant effect on both her life and her career.
I don't really sit well with people who purposefully harm other people.
And I knew it was wrong in the past what I was doing. I was still doing it.
While Perez was adamant that he would change things if he could, Barton had a hard time truly forgiving him. She later told The Times, "I don't listen to anything he says because he's so crazy." She has, however, gotten over the drama of her early onset experiences. In 2023, she appeared on Rachel Bilson and Melinda Clark's podcast, Welcome to the OC, to reminisce about the OC, Marissa Cooper's iconic fashion, and her best moments, including, of course,
"Oh no, I'm getting really sad too. You can't cry, Rachel."
I'm sorry. It's why I couldn't watch it.
As for where Barton stands with her mother, she told Alex Cooper in 2024, "I've really learned to prioritize my chosen family and the people who have really actually been there for me. I don't rely on any one particular family member anymore. I've learned that for my own happiness."